Good evening, everyone. It's nice to have you. So tonight, we just went through 4 different stages, you can say, or gateways or approaches to meditation practice. They all those 4 support one another and enhance one another. So if you enhance one, the others get better too. So we always start, before we go into the actual practice, we always start by preparing the mind and the body properly. The first preparation of those 3 preparations is the posture. The posture should be upright, relaxed, and still. 3 very important qualities. You don't want to be upright in the sense of being stiff, like a soldier. You don't want to be relaxed in the sense of collapsing. You gotta have a nice balance between the both. You can think of it a little bit like the skeleton being pulled up by the crown, and all the soft tissue in your body being melting, collapsing down into the ground. So you have 2 movements, wide up, red down. And then you want to sit still. Every time you meditate, train yourself to stop to move. Yes. A lot of meditation teachings these days, you don't hear that instruction at all, which is a bit odd, I think. That should be the very beginning. You can think of it a bit like a glass of water. If you want the water to become calm, you need to stop moving the glass. The glass is the body, the water the mind. So if you're able to hold the body completely still, the mind can begin to settle down. There is a little sidetrack here, and that sidetrack is about having trouble falling asleep. If you have trouble falling asleep, very often that's due to the fact that we move a lot, we toss and turn. If you're having insomnia, you can't fall asleep because you're constantly moving around. And every time your body initiates a movement, it's kind of a bit like a test. Your brain wants to test whether you are ready to be paralyzed or not. So it kind of makes you feel itchy, or it kind of makes you feel like you want to turn over, roll over to the left, to the right. If you ignore this signal, if your brain sends that out to your body and you ignore it, then it means to the brain like, you must be ready to be paralyzed, and it sends you to sleep. In scientific lingo, this is, I think, actually just called the rollover signal. Have a look on Google. You just Google rollover signal. It's very often used by lucid dreamers, by people who practice bringing wakefulness and mindfulness into their dreams. So, and similarly, if you don't move your body while sitting in meditation, the same kind of thing will happen. The brain begins to gradually paralyze the body. So being frozen in this position because you're not moving around. Okay, so that allows you to gradually transfer your consciousness over into more of a mental sphere, into something that's a bit more spacious and open than the body as such. Okay, so that's why it's one of the reasons, or one of the ways to talk about the reasons why to sit still. Okay, again, posture needs to be upright, relaxed, and still. 3 qualities. The second preparation is your breath. In the beginning, you want to breathe deeply. That means you want to breathe with your belly, from your belly. You want to actually breathe with your entire body if you can, really filling up your whole body, kind of like as if it's a balloon. And then you want to breathe slowly. If you breathe slowly, your nervous system understands that. It's almost like a language that your nervous system and your body really understands. You slow down your breath. The nervous activity in the body vibrates at a slower rate. Everything calms down. It's also why it's often recommended to do this when you're having like a panic attack or something. Similar to that. If you suffer from panic, it's really good to go to the breath. You could do something like the 4-7-8 breath. You breathe into the count of 4, you hold your breath to the count of 7, and you breathe out to the count of 8, counting the same kind of speed. If you have a panic attack or something like this. If your nervous system understands that language, and to your nervous system that means like, oh, there is no threat. He's breathing slowly, so he must be okay. There is no tiger around him, because if there was a real tiger around him, he wouldn't be breathing slowly, obviously, for good reason. Yes. So, the third preparation is your attitude that you bring to the practice. The attitude is driven by kindness and by compassion and by sincerity. Kindness means you understand that you suffer and you would like yourself to be free from that suffering. You want yourself to experience the happiness of release. In simple words, you wish yourself to be happy. That means you're kind to yourself. If you wish someone else to be truly happy, you're kind to them. Compassion is almost the same kind of thing. It has a slightly different taste to it. It means that you wish someone to be free from suffering. Both kindness and compassion are based and rooted in the understanding of suffering. If you can't feel and connect to the suffering that exists in your body, suffering is a strong word, I know, let's call it stress. To the stress, the contractions that exist in your body, if you can really sense them, and how nice it is to release them, to let them open up, to let go of holding and squeezing yourself with your mind, then you gradually begin to understand the importance of compassion and how it plays a role in guiding yourself towards release. The same goes for kindness. You don't want to bring your everyday mindset, your working mindset, your mindset that is based on trying to achieve something in that pushy, aggressive way. You don't want to bring that into your meditation practice. Instead, it's more receptive. You're curious, you're willing to look at yourself and to understand yourself in terms of stress and release. The most fundamental, most important things for a human being are just that. Release is experienced as happiness. And stress is experienced as suffering and pain and the like. No matter your goals, what you're really looking for is release. It's not a number in your bank account or a car or a relationship or a divorce. It's that feeling of, finally, I can live. I can enjoy. I can be at ease. I don't have to be wired anymore. I feel not threatened by truth, by life anymore. So that's the whole purpose of meditation. In order to achieve that, you have to be sincere with yourself. You have to be honest with yourself. It doesn't work if you pretend to be strong, if you lie to yourself that you've got it all under control and you know exactly what you're doing and all that kind of stuff. It's very humbling in the beginning. You have to understand that you know nothing. And all your strength and all your expertise and your knowledge means nothing in the realm of meditation. You have to be willing and open to the experience of suffering and stress. And you have to be patient to actually stay instead of running away and escaping and distracting yourself away from it. You have to be willing to look through it, into it, understand it, and release it, to transcend it. It's completely different to everything else we're doing in our life normally, which is usually escaping from stress into endless distractions or fighting with it. Fight or flight, right? So this response to life doesn't work in the field of meditation training and mental cultivation and so forth. You have to be opening up to yourself, to all experiences that present themselves in this moment. And learn to be okay with them. To take your pressure, the squeezing mind around the experience, to open that up. So that the experience can unfold and move through you and be released finally. You want to liberate your feelings, your thoughts, your body, your mind, everything. You want to free those things, not hold them, not own them, not be identified with them, not being like sticky glue that sticks to all of that stuff, but open space. So in meditation practice, we pursue these kind of mindset, these attitudes, kindness, compassion, and sincerity. Then I said right at the beginning, there's 4 stages or, modes of release that we go through. The first one is really simple, really basic. Everyone can do it right away. You feel your body. Right now, you can feel your body as you breathe in. You just feel whatever's there. And you will notice your body is talking with you. It tells you where it's tense, where it's slightly unpleasant. And as you breathe out, you release. It's not really the case that you release, actually. It's not like something you do, but just by bringing attention or consciousness into that and maintaining an openness, an open-mindedness to, you'll notice that the thing that you're looking at, which is tense and tight and unpleasant, begins to unravel and dissolve and open up quite by itself. Almost like the warmth of the sun that shines upon a flower, and then the flower gradually opens up. It's not that the flower has to strain to open up. It's also not that the sun has to strain to shine upon the flower. There's no force involved. In a similar fashion, if you bring consciousness into the shadows of your pain, it begins to melt. The light of consciousness begins to melt away the issues that are there. Simply by understanding it more deeply, by finding that, there is no center to it. Oh wow, there's softness around it. Oh, it isn't that bad after all. What I thought to be really bad isn't. These kind of discoveries is what you're going to make. Oh wow, it doesn't even last. Oh wow, I was so afraid of that feeling, but if I let it happen, it is like nothing. And that builds self-confidence. It builds confidence, not self-confidence, but confidence in this awareness. Confidence in your ability to stay and watch and not immediately go into a reactive mindset and either fight or flight with whatever situation you're in. So in the first stage, we use the principle of release. The core principle of meditation practice and spiritual practice is release. And we use that principle on the level of the body. Just muscular tension. Start with that. What kind of muscular tension right now that exists in your body is really unnecessary? Maybe you're tightening up your belly right now. It doesn't have to be tight. Maybe your heart is tight. Maybe your jaws are tight, or your throat, or your ears, and who knows what. It doesn't have to be tight. You bring your awareness to those points, and as you breathe out, you let go. Much better, it's much nicer. And that's something you can follow, and it's something you can get much better at. And it will take you to deeper and deeper levels. Like, how much can you relax? I have no idea. It just keeps unfolding. It really does. It's quite fascinating. You think you've relaxed your muscles all the way down, and then you notice there's more layers of tension underneath. It's like peeling an onion. It just keeps going. And the tension that you detect is just going to get more and more subtle. And each release is more and more pleasant. until you're not feeling that solid body as a solid form as such, but much more like vapor existing in space. Just a vapor or a mist of feelingness in space. That's much more pleasant. It's much more open, wide, comfortable. Now you can take it from there, you can take it even deeper. Something for you to explore. So that's one way to explore the practice of release. The second way is also release, but we are releasing something slightly different, which is the release of time. So you let go of thoughts about the future and the past. And now just how far can you take that? Can you release the feeling of I exist today and bring it down to I exist only in this hour? You release everything but this hour. Okay, that's really good. Can you bring it down even further and let go of everything beyond this minute? So you're just existing, living in the frame of this minute. You have much less time. You see, you're releasing time gradually. Your mode of existence becomes much more, I don't want to say confined, actually it's the opposite. It becomes more open. The more time we experience, the more we are confined. It's a clear sign that you're unhappy and uncomfortable. The more important you experience time is, the more you suffer. Every time you're really happy, time doesn't matter. Have you ever experienced that? Time doesn't matter. And 6 hours just go away like that. Like watching YouTube or whatever, like something that you enjoy to do, time just goes like that. And it becomes completely irrelevant to you. Hanging out with good friends, having a nice dinner, it's over like this. But the things that you hate doing, man, they take time. And the seconds pass by like hours. You remember when you went to school, maybe you didn't like school. I didn't like it. And so time became really important. I was looking at the watch. When is the break? And the more I wanted the break, the longer the time became. So in other words, the more I suffered, the more time would stretch out. And the less you suffered, the less time you experience. And we kind of reverse that in meditation practice. We cut away the experience of time. And that will reveal happiness, the happiness of presence. The less time you exist in, the happier you are. Why? Because problems can only exist in time. You can only ever have a problem if you have time. If you have no time, you cannot have a problem. It's impossible. If you exist within the frame of 1 second, how can you have a problem ever? Before you can grab it, it's already changed. There's nothing to grab and hold on to. So the more present you become, the more you experience life as a buzzing field of energy. Just aliveness in motion. With no clear shapes, borders, but just a mass of energy existing in consciousness in this moment. Constantly in the process of evolving and changing. All the time. Not standing still even just for 1 second. Not even 1 millisecond. You can't suffer like that. What would you need to grab something to suffer it. If you don't grab it, there's nothing to grab. So what are you going to suffer? So that's the release of time. Number 3 is the release of thought. And by thinking, I mean talking to yourself in your own head. That's thinking. The voice in your head. Some people don't even know that they have a voice in their head. They're talking to themselves their entire life long. They don't even know that they're talking to themselves in their own head. They've never been aware of it. I suppose all of you are. Since you're here at a meditation center, you must have had some idea about this. There is thinking and it's annoying me or something like that. I'm overthinking, I'm ruminating too much. So what if you had no thought? What if you were releasing all thoughts, all words, concepts, and ideas? What would happen? If you would exist beyond description, having no narrative accompanying you. I mean, imagine I would narrate your life, and I would be the person that's constantly by your side narrating what you're doing, and what you should be doing, and what other people are doing, and so forth. Do you need me to be right by your side all the time? Otherwise you wouldn't know what to do? Or could you do without me? Do you need me to, as you're washing your hands in the sink, do you need me to comment on it? Good smelling soap, washing hands, water is wet. Good smelling soap. Do you need that? To understand what's going on in that moment? Do you need me to verbalize it all the time? No, right? You would still, even without verbalizing, you would still know what you're doing. So I invite you to try that out and release thought. Anyways, what about the majority of thoughts that you've had today? Do you remember all of them? Well, that's how important they are. It's just, think about the thoughts last week, the whole week. Is that also important? The voice in your head going the whole day long, the whole night long. Do we really need that? Okay, maybe I went too far by saying that perhaps we don't need it at all. Say, how about a little less? Is that better? Would that be better? Would it not be good for you if you could only think when you really have to? Do you have that skill? Or are you run by your thoughts? Are you the tool of your mind, or is the mind your tool? That's the question, right? You decide. You answer for yourself. You have your own experiences. And if you're sincere and honest with yourself, you can see, wow, I think a lot. And most of those thoughts, if you really look at them, they're just rubbish. They're just gibberish. And not even coming from you originally. If I really look at my thoughts, they're voices, like there's female voices, there's male voices. There is like quotes from movies. There's songs playing. There's all kinds of stuff, I could well do without it. And in fact, these thoughts are using up so much of the processing power of my body, the nervous system, the brain, that I have no power left for just basic vitality and happiness and joy. It's all gone. It's all wasted for just entertaining myself with head flicks. There's no benefit to it. So I'd suggest you unsubscribe and let go of a majority of your thoughts and find out, wow, it's actually quite nice. It's like dopamine fasting. Stop using your phone for a week and you'll be like, whoa, that's awesome. Not using my phone feels so good. Only through the contrast can you learn, because you put aside your phone and it feels good. That's proper learning, rather than reading about it. Hearing someone talk about it, try it out. And in the beginning it'll be difficult because you will lack those needed dopamine hits of picking up your phone and checking Instagram or whatever you do on it. And you won't have that in the beginning, so it doesn't feel that nice. Day 1, day 2 doesn't feel that nice, like fasting usually does. But then you get into the flow of it, it starts feeling really good. And all this energy is there all of a sudden. The same goes for your mind. If you let go of thought, it's like putting your phone aside. It's like your processor is working smoothly and is not just wasting all its power for nonsense. I don't know if you have nonsensical thoughts, by the way. I mean, that's the case for me. So I'm assuming maybe that's similar for you guys. I've talked with a lot of people and they usually confirm that, say, yeah, man, my head is full of nonsense. All day long, it's like just so much stuff that I wouldn't need. So why carry it, right? We carry it because we don't know how to let it go. So how to let it go? In that third modality, we learn to release thought by finding the gap that exists in between two thoughts. And thoughts are also naturally released because you don't think they are important anymore. So you just open up your mind, for example, right now, and tell your mind, go ahead, think whatever you want. Have some random thoughts. Knock yourself out. Any topic. So if you're looking at your mind, what do you observe? Think anything you want. Say sentences, pictures, whatever. Is that really so special? And perhaps as you're looking at your mind, you will find out, oh wow, if I tell my mind to think, it just freezes up. It just goes blank. There's no thought at all. Just go ahead, think, man. Nothing. Wow. Why? Space. You're, for the first time in your life perhaps, you're giving your mind space. You're not restricting it. You're not telling it, stop thinking. You're not fighting with the thoughts. You're not running from them. You're totally open to them. And it is in that openness that you don't suffer. You only suffer something if you touch it. If you don't touch it, you don't suffer it. That's how you find stillness. Silence. And that silence can take you very deep, just like all the other two as well. It's like releasing tension in the body can take you very deep. Releasing tension by releasing time can take you very deep. And releasing thought can take you very deep. And the fourth one is classic breathing meditation. You rest your attention on the breath. Very gentle. You want to appreciate and love your breath. Enjoy it. How can you ever absorb into something you're not enjoying? You have to enjoy it. You have to really like it. I think a reason why a lot of meditators don't progress in their practice is because they're not really enjoying what they're doing. They feel some sense of obligation. I have to do it. I have to do my practice. I have to push through the pain and all that kind of stuff. And they totally forget to enjoy it, to find pleasure in it. So how could you absorb into something that's not pleasurable? Impossible. If you're full of resistance, you can't unify with the object. Hear your breath. So you want to relax into your breath, appreciate it, enjoy it. And as you do that, you release everything but the breath, meaning everything but the experience of the tactile sense. So your ears, your eyes, your nose, your taste, it's all shutting down. Your thought shutting down as well. The only thing left is just breathing in and breathing out. I know that I'm breathing in. I know that I'm breathing out. It feels nice. And everything else becomes secondary and then it dissipates into the background. It just disappears. And you can go very deep with that kind of release. So all those four are different types of release. 4 gateways to stillness. Because the result of fully releasing your body or releasing time or releasing thought or releasing your senses, it lands you basically in the same place, which is just stillness. And stillness is the gateway into proper meditation. Everything else before that is just meditation training. That's how I call it. I don't call this stuff meditation. What we just did wasn't meditation. It was a meditation training, meditation practice. Meditation is the result of appropriate training, of correct training. You drop into meditation. Yeah. That's basically 4 techniques or ways to go a little bit deeper. Now you can pick and choose one and try it out a little bit, play with it a little bit, see how you like it. If you can find some joy in that, if you release your tension in the body, is that nice? Well, keep going. Keep going for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. It's nice and nicer and nicer. Love it. You can do it everywhere. On the beach, in your car, when you're waiting at the traffic light. You just release tension, open up more and more. Or you release time. Come into the present moment more and more. Play with it. All right? Right, that's basically all that comes to mind about this topic.